With that, I will open the Town of Dartmouth Conservation Commission's meeting for Tuesday, July 22nd at 7 p.m. We're conducting this meeting remotely as a result of Governor Healy on March 28, 2025, signing a further extension for the hybrid remote meeting option for municipalities. She extended that option until June 30, 2027. Our meetings are interactive, so those who wish to participate may do so, either using the raise your hand feature, wave your hand if all else fails, or type in something in the chat room and we'll make sure you get heard for the matter you want to speak on. Tonight's meeting has been duly posted in accordance with both Massachusetts law and with the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. That being said, we have a quorum this evening. We have four commissioners, including me. So it will require a unanimous vote for any affirmative action. Should anyone feel that they do not want to go forward needing a unanimous vote, please let us know. A continuance will be granted since we only have four commissioners this evening. Excuse me. Our first orders of business have to do with administrative, and the first is to approve the minutes of June 24, 2025. May I have a motion to that effect, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. It's a roll call vote. Donald first. You're muted, Donald. Still muted. I'll come back to you. James.
Yes.
Liz.
Yes.
My vote is yes. Donald, you're still muted. Nope, still muted.
He's giving you a thumbs
up. So that would be a yes.
Okay, I am unmuted now, and it was a yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, so we have that motion passing unanimously. Our second administrative is the approval of the field trip reports of July 8, 2025. A motion to that effect, please.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Donald?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Our third administrative item is to receive the minutes of July 8, 2025. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
We have a second on the motion. Roll call vote. Donald?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
My vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. We have two field trip reports this evening. The first is a continued request for determination of applicability, RDA 25-8, from the 600 Potomska Land Trust, care of David Davignon, to install an offshore bottom-anchored swim float in the Slocum's River offshore of the subject property. It's within land under water bodies and waterways, and the regulations 310 CMR 10.02, 10.35, section 362B of the town bylaws. The property's at latitude 41.5452 degrees north and longitude 0.90.9886 degrees west offshore of 600 Potomska Road. Believe we did get a request in writing from the applicant's professional, David Davignon, to withdraw this request without prejudice. Is that correct, Mark?
Yes.
So, commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to withdraw the continued request for determination of applicability on this property without prejudice.
So moved.
Second.
Second, we have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Donald,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
and my vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. Our second field trip report is a request for a certificate of compliance, DEP file 15-2626, RCC 2515, from Kearsarge Energy LLC, care of Richard Rayum, for the restoration of unauthorized tree clearing at a ground-mounted photovoltaic solar array and within bordering vegetated wetlands, the regs are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, section 362B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaws. The land is described as map 85 lots 8-3, 8-4, and 9 on John Vertente Boulevard. Mark, what is staff's recommendation on this request?
Well, just to bring everybody up to speed, this is the large solar array at the north end of John Vertente Boulevard. It straddles both Dartmouth and New Bedford. Several years back, we granted a permit for them to construct the array in buffer zone, which they did. And during the early days of operation, the property was transacted to a different owner, and they decided that the solar panels were insulated from the sun as they were not producing enough electric. So they went in and they started clear cutting trees in the wetlands. And so an enforcement order was issued by the town of Dartmouth, and New Bedford handled it a little bit differently. They did a land swap situation, and we required restoration. Prime Engineering did a restoration plan, which included planting numerous woody specimens, wetland specimens, and also relying in part on the resprouting of some of the trees. This has been ongoing. The planting has been done for 2 years. We did a site visit today based on conflicting schedules. It was a little late, but we got it in. The site is in excellent shape. It is fully regrown, complete coverage. And the other issue that we had with this was that the underlying ground in and around the arrays, really, they claimed they had seeded, but they had not done a really good job of it. And for years, it was pretty much bare earth. I'm happy to say that it is fully vegetated with grasses, some of which are wetland grasses that have expanded beyond the wetland borders, bulrushes and wool grasses and soft rushes. The site is in excellent condition, and staff is recommending a complete certificate of compliance with a condition. And the applicant agreed to this. We discussed it today in the field. The vegetation is so robust that they may have to manage the vegetation at some point to allow the solar panels to function at maximum efficiency. So the condition I would ask that I would add to this is that the owner, successor in interest, or agents shall alert the Conservation Commission for any future vegetation management work for approval prior to any implementation.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Does any commissioner have any question? I see none. So at this juncture, I'll entertain a motion to issue a complete certificate of compliance with the condition that in the future, any owner of the property shall first notify the Conservation Commission and seek approval of any management of the growth regarding the solar panels.
So moved.
Second.
With a seconded motion, roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Donald,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
My vote is yes, that motion passes unanimously. We're now moving on to our public hearings, and we only have one. And that's a public hearing on DEP file 15-2794, NOI 25-27 on the notice of intent from Noah and Heather Kaput to care of Jamie Bissonette for the proposed construction of an addition to an existing dwelling with associated utilities, plantings, grading, and the installation of a septic tank and pump chamber with associated utilities and grading within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The applicable regs are 310 CMR 10.02, 10.55, as well as Section 362B of the Town of Dartmouth bylaw. The land is described on map 42, lot 130. It's otherwise known as 475 Chase Road. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. James,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
Donald.
Yes.
My vote is yes, that motion passes unanimously. Is there someone here this evening on this, or is this one they wanted a continuance on?
This is the
Mark?
one they want to continue.
This, to my knowledge, hasn't been continued before. So I'm inclined to agree with a continuance. I think they wanted it for our next public hearing. Is that correct?
They were non-specific, but we have room on the next agenda, so I would say yes, that would be appropriate.
All right. Our
Does the
next
commit, does the commission want a little background as to why they're
Well, I
requesting
think
this?
it's their first time. I don't know that we really, to me, first time out of the box, I don't see any reason not to grant it. Okay. If they want a second or third, then they better give me a reason.
Okay,
So, does any commissioner have any question on that? If they do, let me know. I don't want to forestall it, but they haven't asked before. So I would entertain a motion to continue this public hearing until our next meeting, which is August 12, 2025 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
We have a seconded motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Donald,
Yes.
Liz,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
My vote is yes, that motion passes unanimously. That concludes the public hearings. We're now moving on to the items for discussion. And I see Sarah Quintal is here to discuss Salters Point Phragmite eradication project. So, Sarah, you've got the floor.
Hi, hello everyone. Good to see some of you again and some new faces as well. I'm the restoration ecologist for Buzzards Bay Coalition, and I've been here for longer than I thought. It's been 15 years now, which means that when this project was permitted back in 2013, I was also the project lead at that time. So back in 2013, we filed a notice of intent to control invasive Phragmites vegetation around the edge of Salters Pond. And we did this in coordination at the request of the local residents who we've been working with, primarily the folks from Salters Point Association, as well as a few private individuals from the Masham Point Association. The extent of Phragmites at that time in 2013 was about 7 acres. And we've been doing annual spot treatment from there was the initial major work happened in 2013 through 2015. 2013, the largest amount of work. And then every year since, it's really just been follow-up. And so for the past several years, it's been usually 2 to 3 crew from Buzzards Bay Coalition. We're pesticide certified. And so we've been going out there to do the annual monitoring and the spot treatment around the pond edge once a year in late summer. And the results really have been wonderful. We've been able to do this through a series of permit extensions. And then most recently with the COVID extension, that really kept us officially authorized through the end of 2023. 2024. And then we we did not, last year was the first year that we did not treat because we thought that we didn't have a valid permit at the time. We sort of had missed the window to do one more extension. And the field season kind of crept up on us. So we did not treat last year. And so we were beginning the process to submit another application to treat, to be able to get authorization to continue annual spot treatment as needed. But in speaking with DEP recently, we became aware that there's been this Mass Leads Act that allowed a 2-year automatic extension of valid permits that were valid from January 1st, 2023 through January 1st, 2025. And so we believe that actually automatically extended our existing permit through December 2nd of 2025. However, so we want to do spot treatment again this late summer, but we would like to ensure that there is authorization to continue the spot treatment moving forward. And so the question before the commissioners tonight is what is the commissioner's preference for that moving forward? Would it be possible for me to submit another 3-year permit extension request for the original permit? Or would you prefer that we submit a brand new notice of intent application as an ecological restoration limited project? Now, if you'd like, I do have some maps and photos of the site. Every year that we've done the treatment, we have done an annual monitoring report that keeps track of the extent of Phragmites and how that has changed over time. So I'm happy to share some of that with you if you're interested, or we can just jump into discussion.
Well, I think I'd like to hear what our expert staff has to say, but I think, to me, if what you're doing is a continuation of what was previously approved, I don't need to see all the plans. You're not going beyond the scope of what has been previously approved, just looking to extend the authorization to do it.
That's right.
But I speak for me, not for the entire commission, but if anybody wants to see it, please speak up.
I'm in the same boat as you, Mike. I mean, if it's been pre-approved beforehand, I mean, I don't need to see it. And then what was the leads thing? It sounds like it doesn't really, it sounds like you're good to go regardless up until December 2nd.
Yeah.
Legally, so it doesn't matter. Legally, I mean, but that's me on my end.
I agree with you, James. Mark, your comments.
Yeah, I suggested to Sarah that we have this discussion for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the work has been done and it's been done very properly. No question about the work to date. And in fact, they do have, through the Mass Leads extension, until December 2nd of 2025 to do the work. However, my experience tells me, and I think Sarah would agree, that this may require additional time. It's just not a one-time thing that's going to happen this year. And the reason I bring it to the commission's attention is that the original permit was issued in 2013. It is now 2025. We are 12 years out. And while the work has been done properly, I think that we have noticed in the recent past that these extended extensions get us into a little bit of trouble, most recently with the Allen's Pond channel project, in which the rules change as these things are extended based on a permit issued under the old rules. And it gets us into a bind. And in the Allen's Pond situation, piping plovers became an issue long after the original permit, which had been extended for 50 years, was issued. So it came to fruition this year, and it stopped them from being able to dredge the channel when they wanted to. And now it's a question of whether they're going to get it done before the year's out. So I bring it to the commission's attention only from an administrative point of view. This My issue is not with the work and the quality of work that's being done. It's more of a paperwork situation, and I wanted to get a view from the commission based on what we've been dealing with on extensions and continuances and continuances and continuances. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page. I particularly don't have a real issue with either option. I guess I'm leaning towards re-permitting because I think the project is a little bit different now in that it's a maintenance project as opposed to a go out and take the big stand out. But that's a minor consideration if the commission wants to continue with another extension, for another 3 years, which would get them to 2028, and then we'd be revisiting this again. So be it.
Mark, I think it's a valid concern. I would suggest that, from my standpoint, I'm inclined to say extend for 3 years, but perhaps with the caveat that we have some probably applicants submitted, okay, but some, and I'm going to use the term certification. I'm not meaning official, but some certification that the applicable regs and laws haven't changed since the original order of conditions was voted on and allowed. That way it'll alleviate the concern you have that things have now changed and we have a violation unintended, as happened over at Allen's Pond, because clearly in that case it wasn't intentional. Everybody's there did great job too up until that point. So I think it's, at some point you're going to need to come back, Sarah, to get a new one anyway, because this won't end in 3 years. You'll be wanting to continue this again and again and again. So I guess the question for Buzzards Bay would be, when do you want to do that, now or later? And given the fact that we're midway through the year, I'm inclined for the 3-year extension. It doesn't seem to me to be a problem, but certainly within the 3 years, I think you need to be back. Any other commissioners?
Question, what herbicide is being used to control the Phragmites, and has that changed over the years?
So the what we've been using was typically Aquanit, which is glyphosate based. And so glyphosate is one of the few chemicals that is effective on Phragmites. We have not seen any off-target effects of its use. We use it extremely diligently. In this maintenance phase, most of the sparse Phragmites that we come across, we apply this chemical using a cotton glove or a cotton sock. And so the herbicide is going specifically on the target plant. And so we've seen the native vegetation come back beautifully. There's a really nice fringe of salt marsh vegetation there now. And so the site is looking great, and we still feel very comfortable and think that that particular herbicide is still the most appropriate one to be using at the site.
And Sarah, to follow up on Donald's question, that was the herbicide originally approved?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Concerns, comments? Well, I suspect you're going to want to vote on this, Mark, so you know which way to go, which way the commission.
I think it'd be fair for Sarah, so that she knows which way to go.
That's true, but I mean, so we have it official, so you're not guessing how we would vote. So, commissioners, at this point, I would entertain a motion to extend the. I forgot the date of it now. I don't remember the date of it, Mark.
The data, they would have to file by the end of October, beginning of November to beat the 30 days for December 2nd, 2025. A 3-year extension would extend the permit to December 2nd, 2028.
Gotcha. So I guess I'd be saying, I'm looking for a vote saying we would entertain the motion filed in a timely fashion, so it's prior to 30 days from expiration in December of 2025 to extend this order of conditions for another 3 years.
So moved.
Second,
Seconded motion, roll call vote. Donald,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Liz?
yes.
My vote is yes, that passes unanimously. So again, Sarah, just check in with Mark and make sure your application for that extension comes in a timely fashion. I would probably do it right away, so it's not forgotten, because another month or two, 3 years from now isn't going to make a big deal of difference. You can't get another one anyway.
That sounds great. No, I certainly will submit a request for extension within the next few weeks.
Very good.
Thank you very
Good
much.
job. You guys do a terrific job.
Thank you.
You're
Good to see
welcome.
you all. Have a good night.
Good night.
Dude, thanks.
All right, I got to turn the page now, so my fingers aren't working as fast as they used to. Oh, enforcement issues. Do we have any?
No,
Good. Oh, that's amazing. We do have one item which I'm going to bring up. As you may recall, we had a gentleman who presented along with his counsel and everyone else before us, asking us to hold a conservation restriction on land that he has. And it's part of a settlement with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. At that time, we declined. He's now come back and essentially, without saying it, is asking, would we reconsider? Because he's been declined now from other organizations, and he's willing to consider putting in, I'm going to use his term because it was in quotation marks, an endowment to help pay for the stewardship. I believe the number that he was talking about, at least from a starting standpoint, was $3,000. But Mark pointed out some very important issues. And rather than have me just sort of paraphrase what Mark has said, Mark, go right ahead with some of the other concerns we have here.
well, first and foremost, and I'm going to answer a question that Mike asked of me in terms of what does the $3,000 cover? And I did not spend a lot of time doing the financial analysis, but I did do some empirical calculations today. And $3,000 would cover, before I say that, what I did was I took an average of Eduardo's and my billing rate, and then use that number to calculate out based on a 4-hour, 5-hour, and 8-hour level of effort. Don't know what this would take. Particularly, I mean, on the ground, it seems easy, but once you get into it, once you do the site, the monitoring, you have to write a report in compliance with CR requirements and things of that nature. All of a sudden, you start extending out a little bit. So I looked at half day, full day, and a little over half a day. For 4 hours at the average billing rate of Eduardo and myself, as of today, remember, as time goes on, these wages will increase, these hourly rates will increase, presumably. The 4 hours per year would cover 19 years. The 5 hours per year covers 16 years, and the 8 hours per year covers 10 years. So we're looking at the $3,000 in very, very general terms, covering at a minimum 10 years and at a maximum 19 years. So having said that, my first question is, okay, what happens at the end, when the money runs out? Okay, let's say it's 4 hours and it goes 19 years. What happens in year 20? Um, that's a concern of mine. So we should not be determining that. They should be telling us, or we should be telling them how much time we want covered. And a CR lasts in perpetuity unless the legislature changes that. And I don't think they're going to change that since it's a settlement with the Commonwealth. This is a settlement for a violation to Commonwealth law. So that, you know, that is an issue. The second concern that I raised is I have a copy of, and I'm not sure if I shared this, I think I did back when Mr. Masuko came in, of a draft of the CR, which I believe was dated in February of 2025, had yet to be commented on fully by his attorneys, has certainly not been reviewed by this commission nor our town council. So we're being asked to say yes to something without having all of the information that we need. I guess we could say we would be interested if they would allow us to review this before we make a determination. But those are the facts that I have. This came in 6:20 last night. So I didn't get a chance to look at it until today. So that's basically the story. And again, I'm a little bit concerned. I've never dealt with a CR as a settlement to a legal matter through the Attorney General's office. And this particular client has been a little bit of a sticky wicket throughout this whole process. And I don't really know where this all goes. I don't. And, I want to say yes, but I just, given our labor issues and, the potential time required, I just don't know. And I would not want to put any commissioner, I know James has offered to do some of this stuff. This is a legal matter, and I don't think a volunteer should be, responding to a settlement type legal matter when it comes to this. That's not to say you can't do it, but I
No,
just don't think it's a good idea. I don't think that I think you're a little too exposed. I think
I was gonna say that's too much exposure for me, especially being
yeah,
illegal.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, if somebody were to say, well, we can help you, yeah, I know you can, but I don't think you should in this matter. So
The one on
that's
Tannery Road I can do.
pardon?
Said the one on Tannery Road I can do. That's not a legal matter.
Yeah.
We
Well,
we can do that. We can do that from the Vols drinking coffee.
Here, exactly.
Yeah,
I was actually gonna say. I was gonna say because I saw that the guy offering like $3,000. I was like, what happens if I offer to give another 2,000? Can I name it after myself?
Let me tell you, as a friend, you don't want to. So just, but I mean, that's where we stand. And I will tell you honestly, I didn't bring this up. A few weeks ago, I got a call from Fish and Wildlife. They're running out of options because nobody wants to play in the sandbox with them. And we're like, we can't move. We're here. So they're like, well, why can't you? Why can't you? Would you consider this? Would you consider that? And I said, you got to put together some specific proposals. And Fish and Wildlife isn't going to do it. They're putting it on Masuko, and Masuko doesn't want to spend, any more than he has to. He's already spent a ton of money, good, bad, or indifferent. But he is, I don't know.
well,
We got stuck with it. We got stuck with the Jerebeck, site. They gave us $25,000. That has been spent. It's now a line item. I mean, Liz, you were there. You've heard it. It's a line item on the town meeting budget now.
Yeah,
And they're saying why. It's like, well, we don't have any money, and we have it.
yeah.
I need a little more background on this. How many acres does this CR cover? Where is
About,
it?
I think it's,
Why is it?
I can't give you the number. I want to say it's probably like somewhere between 3 and 6 acres. What happened, Don, was this. Mr. Masuko bought a piece of land. He's a veterinarian from Metro West, and he and his wife have a passion for horses. This site is on the corner, well, it's down by, it's on Allen's Neck Road, right at the elbow between, at Bend of, Riverbend Farm, and right across from the Holy Ghost, clubhouse. He basically pastured his horses in the woods, and they started munching away. They've killed off a lot of trees. He clear cut some trees. He had a small buffer zone violation with us. He had put fencing up and the like, and all of this in the in designated habitat for the marbled salamander. And Natural Heritage got wind of this, and it's been going on since, well, it's been going on probably about 9 years. And it went back and forth, and rose to the level of the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That's how stubborn the parties were. There was some not so great write-ups about my predecessor that were absolutely inaccurate. But nonetheless, this was a pretty controversial situation. And somehow, I'm assuming money had everything to do with this. They just came to the settlement that to place this piece of land under a CR, which means that whoever owns the CR has to watch the Masukos and what they do with their land. They say they will, abide by it. I can't say that they won't, but I think there are some people out there who are a little bit skeptical about that.
Well, it's not just them, Mark. It's as you said, in perpetuity, and it's unlikely that the Masukos are going to be owning this in perpetuity.
Right.
So
Well,
as time,
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
so as time goes by, and the freshness of the I don't know if it was litigated, but the freshness of the settlement with the Commonwealth fades away. Memory is no longer there, and before you know it, now you've got some real regulatory potential issues, and you better be monitoring them because things will happen if you don't. So I'm still of the mind that we made the right decision the first time, but to be fair to everybody, I'm only one person. And if they come up with more specifics and they want to have what's already been vetted by their sides sent to us for us to vet, I'll look at it again. But I'm of the belief that even if there were double the amount of money, so let's just round it off instead of saying, just say they would give you $10,000 as the endowment. What's to say that 6 years from now we have 2 staff members still? What if we're down to 1? Can we even be doing it, regardless of how much money it costs? Is it something we're physically capable of doing? And that is a problem because there's no guarantee. I mean, at one point, we even had a secretary, we don't have that anymore. So the fact is that the town may cut the staffing even more in the future. And if we keep loading up with work, it ain't going to get done. That you can't palm off on AI. Okay. AI cannot do that work.
Sounds like it could be a real legal headache too. If litigation takes place, $3,000 ain't going very far.
Absolutely true, Don. Absolutely true. And if we're the steward, we're in the middle of the litigation.
What, just out of curiosity, what happens to the land if, the client doesn't receive any kind of CR support?
You'd
I
have
think
to
it's
ask
back to the drawing board on the settlement, Liz.
Yeah, you'd have to go, you'd have to ask that question to the Attorney General. I have no idea.
I
Interesting.
would imagine if this gentleman reports back, they've made all these good faith efforts to find an appropriate steward. Nobody wants it. Then I think one of two things has to happen. They go back to the drawing board and come up with a settlement that doesn't involve a CR. Maybe that can be done. Or the Commonwealth will, have somebody from DEP be the steward, the agent, if you will, of the steward, so that they're the ones who are going to go out there and do all the work. Now, if I'm Masuko, I'm going to say, wait a minute, I'm going to let the Commonwealth be. That's like letting the wolf guard the hen house. I've already had a problem with these guys, but he may not have a choice.
Right.
I think one of the things that happens here, and this is not the first time I've been in this rodeo, Natural Heritage likes to push off responsibilities on other entities. They rely largely on land trusts and things of that nature. And I had a case in Westport. I won't go into the details, but we worked incessantly on trying to get a third party to take the CR, and nobody would do it. And this poor man was working and working and working. He wanted to retire. He had this nice site. He tried to bail somebody out and help them out, and he got stuck with this. And finally, I was in a meeting with Natural Heritage on a totally different matter. And I said to the director, I said, I need to talk to you. Because I had been a contractor for Natural Heritage on some other projects. And I said, I was looking at what your requirements are for people to steward CRs or entities to steward CRs. And I was comparing that to the requirements that you have to contract somebody. And I meet both. I said, would you allow me to steward it with the proviso that I'm not going to fix the problem. I'm only going to tell you that the problem exists. And they took it. And it was again one of these very protracted things because land trust just did not want to work with them because it's kind of like, yeah, this is our resource. We want you to take care of it for us. And so this is not the first time this has happened. And in my experience, I'm sure it's happened much more. And I just think, yeah, it's an easy out for Natural Heritage, but it's not an easy out for the person who has to find these parties. And he's got one party left that he has not contacted, and that's the trustees of the reservation. But he's talked to Buzzards Bay Coalition. They've declined. DNRT has declined, I think, twice. Audubon has declined. I mean, those are the biggies that we deal with down here. Nobody wants to touch it. And I mean, Audubon, it's kind of surprising because Audubon owns CRs and a lot of land in that particular area, in and around Allen's Pond, adjacent to Ocean View Farm, the Stone House, and they don't want to touch it. And it's like, okay, there's got to be a reason.
Right.
Well, we've already talked about the reason. You have litigation, you have costs involved, and frankly, it also could be personalities. But look, when we're looking at it from a conservation commission and we understand the limits of our staff, we can only stretch so far. Our budget, which is pretty low, there's not a lot, there's no fat in the budget where we can say, well, we'll just dip into surplus. We don't have. You have to be awfully cautious before you take on the stewardship of a CR. It's work. And when you take on a stewardship of a normal CR, there's not as much risk, certainly on the reporting side. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, I think we made the right decision the first time, but I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt if you can't get trustees to take it on and look at it again. But boy, there's a few hoops that still have to be jumped through, and I don't have answers for those. And I'm not inclined to say yes, frankly, at all, but certainly not without answers to those. And I think, Mark, you did a great job of articulating what the concerns are. I just don't want to put, because remember, we're not just doing this for the time that we're on this commission. This lasts well past our, tenures as commissioners and well past Mark's tenure as, the environmental affairs coordinator. This goes on 30 years from now. They'll be still dealing with it and probably cursing us out if we didn't do it right. What were these knuckleheads thinking about? That's my concern. I want to be mindful of the fact our resources are limited, both in terms of personnel and money. And we're jumping into something which is already not neutral. It's already been in a litigation mode. That gives me pause for concern.
I would agree. I think if anything, it would certainly need to be reviewed by our parties in council before any kind of reconsideration occurs.
I
I
wonder
would
if there's some way to legal mumbo jumbo to bootstrap the owner of the property, even though we're the steward, to have them be solely responsible for any legal issues. I'm just coming up with nothing.
Well, I
Well,
was thinking about that too, James. And I was also thinking about, well, the money part of it would be somewhat easy, I think. I'll tell you why. Rather than just come up with a big number, we just say, look, the stewardship bill will be an annual bill that'll be paid for by the property owner.
Yeah.
That goes on in purpose. So that's an easy way. That way you never run out of money. But the problem still is people. I mean, if we're down to one staff member at some point in the future, I mean, God, how much are we going to ask that person to do? So I'm concerned about that. And then as far as the legal mumbo jumbo, as you said, to put in the agreement, there would have to be something in there that would essentially be a get out of jail free card for the steward. Okay. Where, otherwise you're exposing the steward to being involved in future litigation and the costs of future litigation.
Exactly.
And so it's like, okay, that could be far worse than the cost of, actually monitoring what's going on site.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to have to be a combination of all of the above. So if they put an indemnity agreement provision in that CR, so the steward is going to be never sued, then I'd give that some serious thought, at least on that end. I think we could work out the other, but my biggest problem, again, comes down to people, staff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How much work do we put on our staff?
Agreed.
And I'm not a big proponent of giving up on CRs, so don't get that mistaken belief, but there's only so much we can do. I think CRs are wonderful tools, but how much can we do to solve a problem that we didn't create?
I would say that CRs are wonderful tools when they're in the right person's or right party's hands. They have been overly misused in the past for not so great reasons, but I agree. The theory is good, but you have to be able to implement the theory, and that part they haven't thought out. Especially when you count on a universe or a community of organizations that are saying no. And that's before you get to the municipalities.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, the fact that there's been rejections from the organizations you mentioned, they also make my spidey sense tingled, okay?
Well, yeah,
Why
this
is
is what
that
they
so?
do. You know, these organizations, this is what they do. They steward land is what they do. They're better at it than towns are, you know, and, but anyway. What I would suggest is I'm going to write a summary of what we've discussed, a lot of which I think, Mike, you and I shared earlier. And I will put it out for, you know, consumption and review before I send it off to Mr. Masuko as a response for this evening, if you're comfortable with that.
I am comfortable with that. I think that's a good suggestion.
Yes.
Jim, Don, are you okay with that?
Yep.
Oops, sorry about that.
All right, then that's what I'll do. I'll try to get to that. I don't have a lot of decisions to write tomorrow, so I'll try to get to that tomorrow.
It's probably one of the latest workloads you have the day after a meeting, so I will, with that, I have no further matters to bring before the commission. If no one else does, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second,
Second.
Seconded motion, roll call vote. Liz,
Yes.
Donald,
yes.
James,
Yes.
my vote is yes. That motion passes unanimously. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time tonight. Have a good weekend. Hopefully enjoy some of the sun.
You
Have a
too.
good
Have a
weekend,
great
all.
week.
All
Bye-bye.
right, take care, everybody.
See ya.